Hey, oh yes. So this week I think is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be continuing to talk about texture. Texture, remember, is the way that something feels or looks like it feels. So last week we were able to create texture rubbings from things that we found in our home. This week we will be creating a work of art that we create the texture for. You're going to be gathering materials that are made of things that are thicker than your normal piece of paper. So I gathered things like an old cardboard box, a paper plate. You could get things like string, or if you have thicker foam stickers, anything that has a thick texture that's thicker than your paper to be used for this project. We're going to be starting with your cardboard, and you're going to make any scene you want. I'm going to choose to make a scene that looks sort of like a lighthouse, but you can make yours into a picture of you. You could make it a flower, your dog, anything you want, as long as it doesn't have words or numbers. So pick your design and grab your cardboard and start cutting your cardboard to make it look like the scene that you want it to be. When creating a collagraph, you want to make sure that you have a lot of layers. So you're going to be taking bigger pieces and smaller pieces and putting them together. If you have glue and you would like to glue your pieces together, you can, but that's just an option and you do not have to do that step. If you're using cardboard, you can peel it apart and there are pieces inside that have a different texture than the outside that will show different things as we move forward. Now your collagraph is finished and all ready for the next step. Now that your collagraph is finished and ready for the next step, you will have 3 options for your next step. Step number 1 is creating a texture rubbing just like we did last week, but this texture rubbing will be of the collagraph that you just created. Option number 2 is to be using tinfoil and markers to create a print. And option number 3 is to be using paint and tinfoil to create your print. You can choose any of these options. And if you finish one and you want to do more, you can do that too. Option number 1. For this option, you'll do just how you did last week. You'll take your finished collagraph, a blank piece of paper, and a crayon of your choice. You'll gently lay your paper over your collagraph, feel for your texture, and use the side of your crayon to rub your paper and show what's underneath. Option number 2. For this option, you're going to be using tinfoil and any washable markers you have. Make sure they're not permanent markers. The first step is to take your piece of tinfoil and fold it as tight as you can around your collagraph without pushing too hard. Tinfoil rips very easily, so just be careful as you fold around your cardboard. Next, you'll use your hand to gently rub to show your texture coming through that tinfoil. Then, you'll use your markers to color your scene however you'd like. The next thing you'll be doing is printmaking. So you're going to get a blank piece of paper, and if you have a spray bottle, that would help. I didn't, so I used a paintbrush and plain water to just get my paper a little bit wet because it will help it absorb the colors of the marker. If you have a spray bottle, just give it a light mist because you don't want it too wet, just a little bit. So get your paper all the way wet, all over it. Gently take your paper, place it on top of your colored collagraph, and rub super gently. You don't want to rip your wet paper or your tinfoil. If you can see very dry spots on your paper after you rub onto your collagraph, you can give it another light spray or go back with that wet paintbrush and go over any spots that you see that are super dry. Once you can see your color through your paper, gently peel it off and you have a print. Option number 3. For this option, we're again going to be using tin foil. So you want to very gently fold it over your collagraph, and then you can use any paint colors that you want. So you'll start with your tinfoil, rub it very gently till you can see your texture, and paint right on that tinfoil. Fill up your whole Collagraph with any colors you want, and then you're ready to print. If you have a spray bottle, spray your paper and make it nice and wet. And if you don't, like I didn't, you can use your paintbrush and clean water to get that paper a little bit damp before you lay it on your Collagraph. Once your paper is wet, take it very gently, rub super carefully onto your Collagraph, and pull it off, and you have a print.